I never thought much about my online presence. I wasn't famous or anything, just a regular guy with a few hundred Instagram followers, mostly friends, classmates, and some random accounts that followed me for no reason. But that all changed about 6 months ago when I got a new follower. Their username was @WatchingYouAlways. No profile picture, no posts, no followers, but they followed me. Normally, I'd just ignore something like that, but the name unsettled me. Something about it felt off. I clicked on their profile. Nothing. Just a blank page with a single line in their bio. I see you. I laughed it off, assuming it was some weird bot, and ignored it. But then, that night, I got a DM. @Watching You Always. You look tired today. Rough shift. I froze. I had just gotten home from work and yeah, I was exhausted. But how would they know that? My last post was from a week ago. I never mentioned work online. My stomach twisted as I stared at the message. I typed back, "Who is this?" No response. I blocked the account and went to bed. The next morning, I had a new follower. Still Watching You. Same blank profile. Same eerie bio. My heart pounded. Then another DM. Blocking me won't help. I see you. I locked my account, switched to private, blocked them again. But they kept coming back. Different usernames, but always the same bio. Always the same message. One night, I got a photo. It was of my apartment building. My hands started shaking. I lived on the 3rd floor in a quiet complex. How did they know where I lived? I called my best friend Jake, freaking out. He told me it was probably just some troll messing with me. People do this stuff all the time, man. Just ignore it. I wanted to believe him. But then, I got another picture. This time, it was of my window. My bedroom window. From outside. I called the cops. They took a report. But since no actual crime had been committed, they couldn't do much. "Just be cautious," one of the officers said before leaving. That night, I barely slept. Every creak, every shadow made my skin crawl. At 3:12 a.m., my phone buzzed. Another DM. "Right behind you. I like the blue shirt you wore to bed." I was wearing a blue shirt. I bolted upright, heart slamming against my ribs. My blinds were closed. My door was locked. How? I called Jake, my voice shaking. "Dude, I think someone's outside my place." "I'm coming over," he said immediately. The next few minutes were agonizing. I kept glancing at my window, expecting to see something, someone, standing there. When Jake finally pulled into my parking lot, I ran outside to meet him. We searched the area, but found nothing. No footprints, no signs of anyone lurking around. But I knew I wasn't imagining this. That's when Jake had an idea. "Check your following list. See if they follow anyone else." I pulled up Instagram and scrolled through the account. For the first time, I saw something I hadn't noticed before. They were following one person, Mr. Just Me. Jake and I stared at each other. "Dude, this is seriously messed up." I deleted my account that night, wiped my social media clean. I thought that would be the end of it. And for a while, things went back to normal. Until last week, I was at a coffee shop, scrolling through my new private Instagram account. I had only re-added close friends. Jake was the only one who knew I was back online. Then, a notification popped up. "Watching You Always has requested to follow you." I looked around, heart hammering, scanning every face in the coffee shop. And that's when I saw him. A man, sitting alone at a corner table. No phone, no laptop, just staring at me, smiling. I left my coffee and walked out, my hands trembling as I unlocked my car. As I pulled away, my phone buzzed one last time. A new DM. "You can't hide forever." I used to be pretty active on social media, posting daily updates, sharing pictures from my life, and interacting with random people online. It felt harmless, like everyone else was doing the same thing. But after what happened to me, I barely use it anymore. It all started with a direct message on Instagram. The account had no profile picture, no posts, no followers, and the username was just a string of random letters and numbers. At first I ignored it, thinking it was just a bot. But then I read the message. "Hey, I love your apartment. That huge window in your living room gives such a nice view." My stomach twisted. I lived alone in a high-rise building, and my apartment was on the 7th floor. There was no way anyone could see inside unless they were in the building across from me. Even then, my curtains were usually drawn at night. I quickly checked outside, but the windows of the building opposite mine were dark. I replied, "Who is this?" No response. A few minutes later, another message. "You should really lock your balcony door at night." That's when I panicked. My apartment had a small balcony, but I always locked the door. Or at least, I thought I did. I ran to check. It was unlocked. My hands trembled as I turned the lock and pulled the curtains shut. I went back to my phone, heart pounding. "Stop messing with me. Who are you?" I typed. 3 dots appeared. Whoever it was, they were typing. Then the message popped up. "You looked really peaceful sleeping last night." I dropped my phone. My skin went cold. That message meant whoever this was, they had been inside my apartment. I grabbed a kitchen knife and checked every closet, under the bed, even the tiny laundry space. Nothing. Every door was locked, every window shut. I was alone. I called my best friend, Jake, and told him everything. He tried to calm me down, saying it was probably some sick prank. Maybe someone I knew was messing with me. He told me to block the account, so I did. But that didn't stop it. The next morning, I woke up to a new message, this time from a different account, but just as empty. "Blocking me won't help. I'm always watching." I felt sick. I barely slept that night, constantly jolting awake at the slightest sound. Every creak of the floor, every gust of wind against the windows had my heart racing. I reported the messages to Instagram, but I doubted anything would come of it. Accounts like this were easy to delete and remake. That night, I stayed up, every light in my apartment on, knife beside me. Around 2 a.m., my phone buzzed again. A new message, a photo. My stomach dropped. It was a picture of me, taken from inside my apartment. I was in the frame, sitting on my couch, looking at my phone, completely unaware. The timestamp was from last night. I couldn't breathe. My head spun. I called Jake, barely able to get the words out. He told me to get out, to call the police. But I knew the police wouldn't do anything. What would I even tell them? That some anonymous Instagram account was sending me creepy messages. They wouldn't track a burner account over that. I packed a bag and left that night, crashing at Jake's place. The whole time, I felt like I was being watched, like someone was right behind me, breathing down my neck. I didn't go back to my apartment alone after that. A few days later, Jake came with me to grab the rest of my things. When we got there, everything seemed normal. No signs of a break-in, nothing missing. But then, I noticed something that made my blood run cold. There was a small, black camera tucked into the air vent in my living room. Someone had been watching me, recording me. I felt sick just looking at it. We took it to the police, but I never found out who put it there. My lease was up in 2 months, and I left long before that. I don't post online much anymore. No location tags, no personal details. And I always make sure my doors and windows are locked, because someone out there knew everything about me. and they were watching. I used to be one of those people who overshared on social media. You know, posting pictures of my meals, checking in at every location, and sharing random thoughts throughout the day. It felt harmless until I learned the hard way that not everyone who follows you has good intentions. It started with a simple comment. I had posted a picture of my apartment's balcony at sunset, captioning it something like, "Home sweet home." The comments were the usual. Friends saying it looked beautiful, asking where I lived. I never gave direct answers, but one comment stood out. "Nice view. Looks like the Oakwood complex on 7th Street." I didn't recognize the username, and there was no profile picture. Something about it made me uneasy, but I brushed it off. Maybe they lived nearby and recognized the area. A few days later, I posted a story, a boomerang of my morning coffee sitting on my kitchen counter. Almost immediately, I got a DM. "You take your coffee black, huh? Classic." My stomach dropped. I never showed myself in the clip, just the coffee. My profile was public, but why would some random person message me about that? I ignored it, but curiosity got the best of me, and I clicked on their profile. It was empty. No posts, no followers, just a generic username with a string of numbers. I set my account to private that night. That should have been the end of it, but it wasn't. The next day, I woke up to another message. "You should lock your balcony door at night." I froze. I always locked my balcony door. At least I thought I did. My heart pounding, I rushed over to check. It was unlocked. Panic set in. Had I forgotten? Or had someone been inside? I searched my apartment, but nothing was missing, and the door had been shut. It didn't make sense. I told myself I was overreacting, that it was a sick joke. I even deleted my social media, thinking that would make it stop. But later that night, as I was lying in bed, my phone buzzed. A notification from an unknown number. A picture. It was me, asleep in my bed. The photo was taken from inside my apartment. I didn't breathe. I didn't move. I just stared at my screen in absolute terror. Then, another message. "You finally noticed me." I grabbed my keys and bolted out of my apartment, running to my car without even looking back. I drove straight to my friend's place across town and called the police. When they arrived at my apartment, they found the balcony door slightly open. No forced entry, no fingerprints, nothing. They never found out who it was. I moved out the next week, staying with a friend until I found a new place. To this day, I don't know how they found me, how they got inside, or how long they had been watching. But I learned my lesson. Some people follow you online for the wrong reasons, and some of them aren't content to stay behind a screen.